All right, today we're stepping right into the middle of the digital battlefield. We're going to break down the absolutely essential and, often invisible world of cybersecurity. So let's just start with a question that honestly affects every single one of us. I mean, think about it. Our jobs, our money, our friendships, so much of it happens online. So how secure is all of that really? To get why this is so critical, we got to look at what happens when those digital walls come crashing down.
To really get a sense of the stakes, let's just rewind to one single day that brought organizations around the world to their knees. The WannaCry attack wasn't some minor bug. Nope. In one day, it hit hundreds of thousands of computers. We're talking huge companies like FedEx and Nissan having to literally stop doing business because their systems were completely locked down. It was a massive wake-up call for just how vulnerable we all are.
So, when we throw around the word cybersecurity, what are we even talking about? Well, think of it as the entire defense system standing between our private information and an attack, like WannaCry. It's the whole practice of protecting everything, from our networks to our data, from anyone who has no business seeing it. To build a good defense, you have to understand the offense. You have to know who the attackers are and what they're using. So let's open up the attacker's playbook. First thing to know is that hacker isn't always a bad word. It really comes down to their motives, which puts them on completely opposite sides. On one side, you've got the black hat hackers. Yeah, these are the bad guys you see in movies, breaking into systems for money or just to cause chaos. But on the other side, you have white hat hackers or ethical hackers. These are the good guys, hired to use the exact same skills to find a company's weak spots before the criminals do. And these are some of their favorite tools of the trade. Phishing is all about deception, that fake email that looks legit, trying to trick you into handing over your password. Malware is like a digital disease, a nasty piece of software that gets inside and messes everything up. A DDoS attack? That's just brute force, basically creating a massive digital traffic jam to crash a website. And then there's ransomware, which is pretty much digital kidnapping. And this right here, this is the cold, hard reality of ransomware. This quote's from an analysis of WannaCry, and it lays it out plain and simple. Pay up, usually an untraceable crypto like Bitcoin, or you can kiss your files goodbye. For criminals, it's become a terrifyingly effective business model. Okay, I know that all sounds pretty scary, but here's the good news. There are some really powerful, surprisingly simple things we can all do to protect ourselves. So let's talk about how to build your own digital fortress. So your first line of defense is almost always a firewall. The best way to think of it is like a security guard for your network. It's this virtual wall that stands between your computer and the wild west of the internet, and its whole job is to check the ID of all the data trying to get in or out and block anything that looks shady. All right, next up, the humble password. I know, but this is one of the most effective tools we have. But what does a strong password even mean? Well, first off, length is everything. Aim for at least 12 characters because each one you add makes it way, way harder to crack. Mix it up with different cases, numbers, and symbols. And this is so important. Use a totally unique password for every single account. Why? Because if one gets stolen, you don't want it to be a key that unlocks your entire digital life. So you see, the big takeaway here is that building a fortress isn't about finding one perfect solution. It's all about layers. A strong password, a firewall, good antivirus software, and just a healthy dose of suspicion about random emails. You put all those layers together, and suddenly you're a much, much tougher target for attackers. But this goes way beyond just our own personal habits. There's a whole growing army of professionals out there whose entire job is to keep our digital world safe. And this is where we really start to get into the high-level strategy, the kind of security governance and management planning that protects entire organizations. And these cyber guardians, they all operate at different levels. You've got the ethical hacker. Think of them as the frontline soldiers, working at the operational level, finding and patching holes right now. Then you have someone like a security architect. They're working at a more tactical level, designing the security systems for the whole organization. And way up at the top, you've got the Chief Information Security Officer, the CISO. They are the general, setting the strategic, long-term vision and managing risk for the entire enterprise. And if you're wondering just how badly we need these professionals, well, look at this number. The demand for these roles is projected to explode by 33% in just 10 years. This shows you that this isn't some niche IT job anymore. It's a massive, critical need for people who get security governance and know how to manage digital risk from the top down. And that leaves us with one last really important question to think about.
With all the fancy firewalls, all the brilliant professionals, and all the strategic planning in the world, what's often the single weakest link in any security system? It's not the technology, it's us, the human element, which is why at the end of the day, our own awareness is still the most powerful defense we have.